Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. Hi everyone. Today I speak to Warren. From the first day I met him, he left an impression in my soul. I'm not sure what it is or how it happened, but I felt a connection with him. We live in different cities, so we do not see each other often, but when we do, I thoroughly enjoy his company and his energy. I am very excited to have chatted to him, and I'm happy to introduce him to our Meet Me in the Field family. This podcast is supported by the First Layer, the 12-step workbook on working through the 12 steps in any addiction in 21 sessions. There is also a 24-day step coaching and counseling program available based on the First Layer. For more information in this regard, go to www.freddy.org.za and click through from the notices at the right of the homepage. Sit back and enjoy. I am sure your soul is also going to be stirred. Good evening, Warren. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself, Freddy?
I am very well. I'm even weller now that I have you in the green chair. Welcome to Meet Me in the Field. Awesome. So you spent a day in the Platteland doing a gymnastics judging.
Yes.
When did gymnastics start for you?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Gymnastics started for me when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in 1998 or 9. 1998 or 9, yeah. And I would say that gymnastics is my first love.
Okay.
Well, it was. I've got new first loves now, but sport, there's a special place in my heart for sport, specifically gymnastics. And I was a competitive gymnast all the way through to 2009. I made the SA team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
You've got a sports guy.
Yeah, no, I made the SA team, and from there I continued to develop my relationship with gymnastics more administratively by working at SA Gymnastics, working at Western Cape Gymnastics, and currently now I am the president of Cape Town Gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in my free time...
Celebrity!
In my free time, I'm leading a cohort of Cape Townian gymnastics administrators, managers, and secretaries, as well as gymnasts into creating opportunities of gymnastics for all in Cape Town.
Fantastic. Yeah. Is that also why you studied what you studied? Because you studied sport science, sport management, sport...
I did sports science.
Sports science.
I did sports science at UWC all the way to masters. And now, that was the main reason. That was the main reason why I decided to take that avenue. Unfortunately, though, at the time I needed to choose a career path, I was not prepared emotionally for that tall order. So my mother assisted me, and she essentially chose the course for me. Okay. Which is how...
You mean when you had to choose a career path, the tall order of becoming a professional athlete? Or
no, of choosing what to study at university.
Oh, yeah, God. Yeah. I always say that...
difficult.
Who the hell knows at the age of 17 or 18 what you want to do for the rest of your life? It's screwed up. Life shouldn't work that way. I wasn't equipped at 17.
No, I had none of the maturity for that kind of decision. But what I've learned is that it's a process of evolution. So, it's happened. I've discovered parts of myself through that process. And now more will be revealed, I guess, as we continue.
Fabulous. Absolutely, more will be revealed. When I decided on the podcast, I made a list of people that I wanted to have on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And you were on that list.
Thank you.
But then you pissed off to Madrid.
I did.
This was last year this time, when you were there, or...
I left in the beginning of January in 2017. It's a fabulous consortium. It's a fancy word for relationship. A fancy consortium between South Africa and Europe, where they have these short and long-term mobilities where Europeans come to this country and we go up there. And I chose Madrid as my first choice. as a young boy, I've always been infatuated with Spanish culture.
Okay.
Not so much so to learn the language completely. Now that I've been there, I can speak a little bit, but
Cool.
that's why it was my first choice.
Okay.
We had to make 3 choices, so I chose 2 other European countries just because I had to.
Okay.
The avenue of work I chose to go to Spain was preventive medicine. And preventive medicine is about epidemiology,
Okay.
which focuses on epidemics. Many people get confused and think it's about skin because of the epidermis. So I often have to just navigate that one with everyone, whoever doesn't know what epidemiology is. So that's one component, and the other component is biostatistics. With those 2 disciplines in preventive medicine, we manage a whole lot of different diseases. Ebola, HIV, cancer, infectious diseases, chronic diseases.
I thought that was part of your master's.
No, unfortunately not. No, it was part of my PhD journey, which I originally did start at UWC. But when I got to Spain, I realized that there was this whole other world of health sciences out there, and a passion for epidemiology started to emerge. And as I immersed myself in that discipline, something started to simmer within me, and I decided to give that a little listen to.
You mean listen to your gut, listen to the simmer that's happening. Okay.
I don't know how to explain that calling. Let's call it a calling.
Cool.
It was definitely a calling. I couldn't ignore it, and so I decided to investigate areas of epidemics that I want to focus on myself. And then I did a bit of a proposal and realized that I need to deregister from the PhD at UWC, unfortunately, because my direction has changed now.
Okay.
And to stay in tune with that and surrendered to what that could mean for me was a process of its own. A lot of fear involved, because I know anatomy and physiology, I know principles of exercise, fitness and coaching, I know elements of sport management, I know sport medicine. We do lots of strapping, injuries, kinesiotape, sports massage in the area of work I've come from. To leave that completely and go more clinical, more laboratory, more microscopes, different diseases we would never encounter in sports science, was quite a bit of a turmoil, challenge, catastrophe.
Sounds like a huge shift, a paradigm shift, as you guys would call it.
Researchers
that's more politics.
Yeah, they've got such fancy words for like, I'm having a meltdown. I was actually having a meltdown.
I'm losing it now. So when you say a calling, what calls you? This is after the podcast about spiritual journeys, and I've always been intrigued with your journey because. Okay, first of all, let's go back to you were on the original list of people that I wanted.
Yes.
And the reason for that is that since I've known you, you've always, in my mind, represented something terribly calm, composed, friendly, connected. I've always, from the first time I met you, I just liked you because you just presented something, as I said, really calm and composed and serene. And then we became friends on Facebook, and I would see you were one of the top 100 young people in South Africa. Am I correct?
In Africa.
I mean, that's huge. So
this continent is big. I don't know how they found me.
Every time I would think I'm going to ask you now for the podcast, I see, okay, now you're somewhere in Africa, now you're in Johannesburg, now you're there. So I just never got to pin you down.
Yeah.
But the crux of the matter is that I felt an amazing sense of calmness from you. My gut feel tells me that if I get into your head, I'm going to get a complete different picture.
100%.
But Is there a calmness? Is there a sense of serenity? What calls you when you say there was a calling? What do you believe in?
Oh, this is a huge question.
Good.
And just as a disclaimer for any of your listeners, I am not a professor of spirituality. In fact, I've only got my unique experience, which is what I will talk about.
Fabulous. And as I said to the previous podcast I spoke today, own it.
Yes.
It's ours to own. So what is that for you?
This is my story. So you asked me a few questions before I... And I'll answer them in this little...
Okay, let's get
in this little
academic
blurb.
here. So this question contains of A, B, C, and D. Go for it. We're listening. Dr. Fraser Crane, we're listening.
I am here. So, my spiritual journey started about 4 years ago. Yeah. And...
So you didn't grow up with spirituality. You didn't grow up with religion.
I grew up with religion, but I would not call that spirituality.
Okay, cool.
To be honest.
So it didn't resonate with you?
It did, to a degree. I learned some principles of discipline, procedure, protocol, which to me opposes the complete sense of spirituality.
Okay.
Where spirituality is more about freedom and love and passion and learning.
Nice.
Humility. Whereas religion didn't have that for me. In the beginning. In
a world.
Yes.
Have you ever watched that movie? No. Oh my God. It's such a nice movie. The movie is so sorry, this is not completely a sidebar. See, this is what I meant when I said it's going to be. There's a movie called In a World. You know when you do the preview for when you watch a trailer for a movie.
Yes, and you have that narrator in the beginning.
Yeah. Now this movie, In a World, is about the narrators of that.
Ah, I see.
And the competition between narrators.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a nice movie.
Sorry, I don't get to watch much TV.
So there you go. For a Netflix evening. It is still winter.
Yes.
It's running out of winter, so why it's still cold?
It's exactly my plan after this podcast.
Cool. Okay, sorry.
Oh, yes. So
that was a complete sidebar, Jesus.
We were basically, I wouldn't use the word forced, but there was no option really to not go to church and catechism. I'm Catholic, and it's quite strict and stringent. There's no like real room for any
interpretation, freedom of movement, freedom of choice.
Yeah, bow now, kneel down, stand. No bashing on the religion at all. It's just that was not a proper, comfortable experience for me because I think I've got the spirit of an eagle that just wants to, fly freely.
Soar. That's my new word, is soar.
I want to soar, and in that time I could not feel that sense. Although they did promise that the promises of the Bible and attending Sunday school and confirmation and being confirmed, having your first Holy Communion, being confirmed, following the different sacraments of Catholicism, probably not even using the right words. Don't quote me on this.
I'm sitting here nodding my head because I've got I don't know whether you're using the right words, but the way I understand it from my NG Kerk,
yes,
I think I'm following what's happening here. Yes,
there's 7 of them. You go through, and the last one, there's marriage involved, somewhere there. Yeah. Anyway, I just couldn't resonate with the sense of freedom. I think they were trying to communicate with me. It just wasn't working, and
you didn't experience freedom within that.
Through that, no. However, I did get involved. I started to go to youth. That's where I met a lot of really cool people. I think I still am in many ways an introvert. Tend to keep to myself. On the odd occasion, which is most of the time, I like to be in a social situation. But if I had to choose a social situation as opposed to like being in my zone, then being in my zone is the one I would choose. Not in an unhealthy way, but just revel in my space.
Yeah. Well, an introvert is somebody who generates their energy from inside, internally, and it sounds as if you are that type of person.
Though I am super social.
I was gonna say, I see
People beg to differ when I tell them this, and I'm like, never mind, okay, it is only my life to interpret.
You're
anyway.
entitled to your opinion. It's such a powerful line that you're entitled to your opinion.
Yes. So that was my introduction to a concept of spirituality, and that was through religion. However, my understanding has evolved over time. So after 18, being at university, I failed statistics twice, to be honest with you. And it's crazy that I'm doing biostatistics now,
so happy to hear that.
Religiously. No pun intended on the word religion. Yeah, I do biostatistics as a part of my job. And
God.
It's so crazy, like whatever we fail at, we can actually pass at some stage. It's not like a defining moment. And it's in moments like that where I realized that there's more to this strict framework that I have grown up in, being a gymnast, growing up in the Catholic Church.
That's very disciplined. I'm getting a very kind of clock, disciplined picture. I only want to hear one click.
Yes.
Type of it.
It was quite difficult, and my mom's also a very strict woman in a caring way. She is an enforcer of the rules, a stickler for the truth, advocates for honesty, and that's the kind of upbringing, structure, framework that I can paint for you in this moment. I can't give you the whole thing, otherwise we'd be here till dawn. We'd be here till dawn, literally. But then in 2014, after experiencing a range of different milestones in life, like becoming 21, finding myself as an adult, like puberty's over, I'm not a child.
Thank God for that.
Yes, oh my gosh, so ugly. I hated puberty.
Well, you're ugly teen.
Yes.
I can't picture that.
I think I grew to myself. And, too many hormones and feelings and, social boundaries.
How did you deal with the hormones and the feelings as a teenager? Did you rebel or did you conform?
Oh no, my shirt was tucked in all the time.
Okay. Oh, you conformed. Yeah, I was a conformist as well.
Oh my gosh, I was selected as student leader, captain of the chess team.
Well,
I was like, oh my gosh,
all that
I was good at maths. It was a difficult space back then to try and find out who I was, So coming into adulthood, not knowing who I am, my mom's chosen my discipline for school university, and I'm just living and going forward, and whatever's next on the timetable or my schedule, that's where I was just bumping forward into. Until I was 23, my crown birthday, 23rd of October. I was 23, and I told a friend of mine that I want to go to the clubs, I really want to let loose a little bit. So we go and we dance and we have a good time and everything. But then that started to happen a lot more frequently.
Okay.
At this time, I was doing my master's and still somehow not doing gymnastics anymore. And by this point, I decided to do honors and masters in sports science as my own decision, because I could have gone to any other discipline if I wanted to. So I've gained some autonomy by now, I've made decisions. I started a retirement annuity. I was earning a salary.
You were adulting big time.
I was. I think I was. I was actually demanding.
It sounds like it.
Like, what's a retirement annuity when you're 23? When you're retiring in 40 years. Why are these brokers asking me stupid questions? And also it's weird, no one prepares anybody for this level of leveling up.
Yes.
It's just this whole concept of
life works strangely.
Life orientation, they give it to you at school, but it just...
We didn't even have that at school.
Well, sorry for you.
I am in a different generation, so no, we didn't have that.
No, they literally... they tried to prepare... Well, those things are structured around preparing you for adulthood, but I felt ill-prepared.
Yeah, me as well.
Completely ill-equipped, and it's also, that's my interpretation. Other people would say, but Warren, you're doing so well, and I'd be like, I beg to differ, I just felt like I was trudging, clawing my way forward. Don't know what was blowing me back. Don't know what was overwhelming me so much, but it just felt like a mission. And I don't know if that's got anything to do with anxiety or depression, but that's my experience back then, when I turned 24, unfortunately, I was in a situation on the 11th of August in 2014, where I was unfortunately robbed. Like my laptop, iPad, like I was robbed at my car. And these bad people took everything from me. Well, everything. Like my stuff. And I was quite materialistic then. Also, those things were helping me to complete my master's at the time. So, and I mean, I am a millennial. I'd like to think so, but I did not have Dropbox at the time. So my thesis and everything was just taken. And I was like, oh, okay, well, snap, what to do. So luckily I had an emailed version, but I don't know, that was a very outdated version. So I had to just like spruce it up.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, it was an opportunity to level up again, Now I don't see these bad things that happen as negative situations, which is quite profound, because before I'd just be like, why
This is
me?
the end of the world,
And just like curl up and just become uber depressed. But and in the moment I probably still do that, but now with hindsight and with some emotional muscle, I'm able to understand that it's an opportunity instead. I can't speak for any other tragic events that may happen to people. Like some people are survivors of domestic abuse, gender-based violence. I don't want to touch on any of that, purely just because I'm just speaking from my experience and my trauma allowed me that opportunity.
Yeah. But each person's trauma is their trauma, and none of us can take it away from them.
And it is in that pit of darkness, I would call it, literally, when I started to seek some kind of external spiritual guidance, I would say.
From the bottom of the pit, you shouted up.
Well, I was shouting out help from like...
While you were falling already.
Not even, like from like some penthouse in Greenpoint.
Fabulous.
During parties, and realizing that, like, is this what my life is about? Eventually I was open enough to sincerely ask for help spiritually. I could call it that. I needed intense counseling and therapy to get through that time, mostly because once the trauma is dealt with, a lot of other things start to emerge.
Now you've taken the lid off.
God! And
being in the lab, you can just see how it all bubbles over, completely out of control.
100%.
I'll
exactly
never
how
forget,
science works.
as a child, you hear the story of you can make your own crunchy.
Yes.
You melt sugar and you throw bicarb. Now I did that, and as this thing started bubbling over on my mother's stove.
Oh my gosh.
And I had this vision of, oh fuck, I'm going to have to eat my way out of this kitchen. It was just, so that's a picture I get with you. It just starts bubbling up, and now all hell is breaking loose.
Yes, I needed to deal with issues of sexuality. I needed to deal with, I'll call them issues, but like, the journey of discovering self in a sexual way and what my sexuality is are two separate things, apparently. And understanding what negative self-talk was, understanding how I sometimes play the perpetrator or the victim, depending on the situation. And then the underlying factor of that was like, manipulation is one of the things that you practice. I was like, no, me? I'm a good Catholic boy. And I've got an education. How can I be a manipulator? Because I always used to think that those characteristics of a person would be defined for bad people. And I classed myself, like a true elitist, as a good person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those things are beneath me, And to know that I was more human was a shock. Pleasantly surprised.
Me human? Clutching your pulse. Me human?
Yes.
Don't be ridiculous.
Intense realizations, and I'd call them spiritual awakenings, as many other people would, in this process. So I've got this 4-year relationship, which I have to also say is the longest relationship I've ever had, and it's with myself. Because I've
And
started...
what a fabulous choice you've made. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, because I was the only person that I was not getting to know this whole time.
Yes.
I feel very privileged to have started the journey at 24. I do understand a lot of people discover a spiritual concept, let's call it that, much later in life.
43.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But it's okay. You're here now, you know?
I live to tell the tale and I'm loving it.
It's amazing. It's actually like a new world. Though it's not an easy journey to be on, I have to say. It's sensitive. It's very delicate. There are things that I needed to face that I didn't want to face. Parts of me that I had swept under the rug that I didn't want to consult ever again.
Yeah.
A lot of those things involved being bullied at school and how those emotions play on the present.
Absolutely.
I don't know what that theory is called. There must be a theory. There's a theory for everything. There must be a theory for that. I'm not sure what it's called, but there's a thing about how the past reenacts itself in the now.
Yeah.
Through the action of the vessel, of the person, you know.
I had that same conversation with a client this morning.
Yeah.
Who did not realize that he's been abused.
No, and the abused becomes the abuser somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a very interesting session. I loved it.
I mean, my mom and dad got divorced when I was a young boy. I was 7, I think. And I didn't also realize that I needed to deal with those emotions as well. And coming to terms with my sexuality was another thing. What I'm afraid of as opposed to what I'm not. Mm-hmm. What I'm not afraid of that I should be afraid of.
Yeah.
Who are my friends? And what does friendship mean? Those kinds of things. I'd like to think of myself as a true people's man. As much as I'd like to continue believing that I'm an introvert. Because I also like switch between these boxes of the way we box people. Yeah. The human nature of mine is quite colorful. I like to use the word colorful because it describes an array of different shades, you know, and I think depending on where I am and what we're doing and where I'm going, like the shade changes. Not that I'm shape-shifting. I don't want to ever say that I'm shape-shifting. I used to shape-shift.
It sounds as if you've done too much work on yourself to shape-shift.
Yeah, well, I did in the past. I wanted to fit in with everyone. I always had this like insufficiency complex or inferiority complex where I really want to be as nerdy as the nerdy kids. I'd really want to be as cool as the cool kids. I really want to be as hot as the hot kids. I really want to be as confident as the confident theatre kids. And I just never felt like I ever fitted anywhere. So that caused me to, in my in my development to shapeshift and not be myself. So that's the point I actually want to get to about spirituality is with this relationship I've got with Warren. I've been afforded the opportunity to now find out who this true Warren was. Deciding that I wouldn't say was my decision initially. Now that I believe in spirituality, I think it was right for that time.
You were where you had to be.
Yes, and I didn't will that decision or that process at all. Which is interesting because most of the things that I decided to do, I decided to do. Where this one came at me, okay, I did ask for help, but I didn't realize what I was asking for at the time, you know? So now I've got this relationship with me, which was afforded to me by my development in spirituality and what spirituality means to me, which is the second question you asked.
God, can you still remember?
I think so. Maybe the
Well,
third.
one of them.
Spirituality means to me to have an understanding or belief in a power that's not me.
Okay.
It could be a group of people. It could be the generic God. It could be the universe. For some people, it could even be an object.
Yeah.
This mic could be someone's high power.
It is a lovely mic.
It is fabulous.
So, yeah, I can see.
It's so fabulous. I wish you guys could see this mic. Like, it actually gives me anxiety. I feel like I need to drop a beat. And for me, my spirituality and understanding thereof is super unique. No one can tell me what my spirituality needs to look like. They can guide me on what it's supposed to feel like or where it's supposed to possibly go and what principles are defined in spirituality.
Yeah.
But whatever I conclude with as my metamorphic, fictional, possibly real shape of my spirituality is completely unique to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't think mine is the same as yours, or I don't think mine is the same as the next person. But for the sake of this conversation, it is the generic God.
Yeah. but that's lovely because no two people are the same.
Yeah.
So why should we be pushed into a belief system that was created and you just have to fit into it? I really like the idea, kind of, this is what works for me. So it sounds as if, I just want to comment on something kind of nearly like a sidebar, but it sounds as if you're one of those people who really have a busy life, but you need to withdraw to re-energize. The typical introvert type of thing. And that doesn't make an extrovert. You just need to derive energy from within you. Go and get silent and you get back to life. I'm the opposite. I'm absolutely exhausted. Throw me into a party. I virtually feel like a sponge. I feel how I draw people's energy. It's very strange. So that's the one thing. And let's end off with, do you have any things that you would call a spiritual practice?
I do, which will bring me to the one question you also had in the beginning. So
God, I can't believe you remember this.
Your question initially was about what gets me up in the morning.
Yes.
And I just want to reflect on that because it's very important for me to rehash it for myself.
Cool.
And for the listeners, but mostly I like to rehash it
It's
so
all
that I'm
about you,
reminded. Yes, it is.
So it's a mic off.
It's my show. This is my show. Freddie, welcome to my show.
And you're going to use this opportunity. If you grab the mic, I'm going to slap you.
There are a few practices that I do. I meditate. Unfortunately, with anxiety and ADHD, particularly, things get quite hectic.
So you've been diagnosed with both anxiety and ADHD?
Yes, I have.
Oh, wow. And you function as you do. And one of the words I used was, you're being calm.
I know, this is the funniest part for me. That's
it really is. Yeah.
Well, I guess when we see each other, you see me in my calm space.
Okay.
Because I'm practicing this meditation. I'm practicing reflection. I'm putting the work in to maintain some version of serenity as I continue to trudge.
Yeah.
I don't think that the trudging has ended, to be honest, because life and adulting, it's about these challenges actually and how we survive each of them. Without them, I think life would be quite mundane, boring, purposeless.
I don't believe that we're supposed to live life in a dark room.
Not at all. That's not what I'm saying.
And what I hear from you is that, yes, you have anxiety and have ADHD, but life is happening and you want to be part of it. And you do X amount of things to ensure that you're okay enough to engage with life on life's terms.
Yes.
And it sounds as if you've got a really busy life with studying and sport And I see on Facebook at a lot of dinner tables and with friends and all those type of things. And you're traveling and everything.
Yeah.
So
To keep up with that, I need to do those things. So those practices are important. I'd like to say that I do them first thing in the morning, but I'd be lying. I do them like in the evening, because in the morning, it's a terrible time to close my eyes again, because I'd probably fall asleep and I'd need to be at work. So I start off with prayer, even though I don't pray to the God,
the big
in
guy,
inverted
the big guy
commas.
upstairs, the grey beard, I know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm praying to that God that I used to know when I was in Catholic church. But I do believe that the God I'm praying to now is probably the same God. So with my new understanding of spirituality, I don't have to feel like I'm defined by my past understanding. Cool. So I'm praying to something. And I've found that prayer does work, in a sense, to like prophesy something, to speak it into existence. Colleagues of mine and a few of my students, we speak about the idea of speaking life into your dreams. So if you're not a qualified accountant yet, you speak life into the fact that you're going to be a qualified accountant one day.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm busy doing at the moment without calling that.
Yes. So with us doing masters and PhDs at UCT and at UWC and at Stellenbosch, we call each other Dr. Lucas, Dr. Rampo,
cool.
Dr. Phillips. Yeah. Some people may say that is a jinx on the whole idea of becoming a doctoral graduate. Yeah. However, that's not what I feel, and that among my peers are not what we believe. So we speak life into our dreams, and in that way, that's what I practice with prayer. If I have any insecurities or internal conflicts that I'm struggling with, I pray about those. I pray about finding a group of people that I'm like-minded with, that also care about spirituality in the same way that I do. I pray for my family, that their spirituality may be growing and developing. And I pray for those that are suffering with certain illnesses, that they may find some version of recovery, whether it's mental disease or physical disease, chronic or curable, whichever. And so that's prayer, and their meditation is just becoming silent. I often listen to Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey when they do those meditation series. It's my little nugget of wisdom. They offer it like once every 3 months or 4 months, 21-day journey globally. And you can sign in if you've got a Wi-Fi connection. You can stream it every day. So, check it out. Chakra Center.
I don't know about this at all.
I'll send it to you on email when it comes out again.
Please do.
It just ended now, and the latest episode was about manifesting your dreams.
Cool.
So over the 3-week period, you focus on that. And when that's not running, I do my own meditation with an app called Insight Timer.
Oh, you're an Insight Timer bunny as well.
Yay!
I love Insight Timer. Insight Timer has changed my life. I'm trying to get Insight Timer to sponsor my podcast because I talk about it every bloody episode.
Insight Timer, please sponsor our podcast.
There you go.
Yes, it's a great meditation tool because you can time it and you can pick like the harp or guitar background music or some waterfall. And for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, however long you want to go.
You also do guided meditation by people?
Well, it's only the Oprah and Deepak Chopra one that I do.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise,
but not on Insight Timer where you use music or...
No, I just use the background. Or sometimes it's actually silent, which is also most preferable for me. And the journal reflections, to just check in with myself and see how I'm doing.
Okay.
I often find that some of my reflections can be a bit boastful or a bit mopey, but it helps me to just feel where I'm at right now. So I try not to criticize myself often, which is another internal struggle I battle with every day. And these things, they help me to rediscover myself in a spiritual way. The spiritual way is comprised of self-love. It's comprised of a belief in something higher than me. It's comprised of companionship and friendship and being present. Jumping in between the past and the future is a difficult navigation vibe, like I struggle. But in the true spirit of University of Western Cape's motto, Respus Prospus, which is Latin for in order to know where we are going, we must know where we come from.
Okay.
The past doesn't have to haunt us. It can shape the future.
Yes.
Completely. And it also doesn't have to repeat itself as well. And that's why I embarked on the spiritual journey when the time came, so that I could like not let these things of the past, divorce, sexuality, certain addictions, ADHD, anxieties, inferiority complexes, like, come with me all the time in a negative way, weighing me down. They're still with me. However, they're nicely compartmentalized and they're dealt with in a more mature way. I speak to a therapist about certain things. I am in a therapeutic process myself. I do have friends and family that I can trust enough to share openly with and not feel like shame and guilt for anything that I experience. And all of this brings me to my conclusion with you asking me what makes me get out of bed in the morning. Embarking on the spiritual journey has helped me realize purpose. Purpose, I have purpose. And purpose is what gets me out of bed in the morning. Yes, there are days where I don't feel like being
Fuck the purpose.
having purpose. I do not want to have purpose on many days. Though there are so many days, they're actually insurmountable. And I cannot describe the feeling of euphoria I get when I realize my purpose. Becoming an academic, lecturing, and being active in research and science and physiology, I have realized that when I give of myself in these disciplines, especially to a group of students, I've got about 8 students that I currently mentor, not academically per se through the university system, but personally.
Okay.
I guide them with their research. I guide them with career paths. I guide them in the classroom or in the lab or wherever. We unpack many things and it always leads to something spiritual, I have to say.
And I had the most unspiritual thought. The thought that comes up was, come up to my lab. No invitations. But this sounds absolutely amazing.
Yes.
This is, I'm going to end here. It's just absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy that you could make this.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, these connections are ever developing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any real end to it. And the investment I've received from others is the only thing that I want to pay forward with. Pay it forward with.
Yeah.
And that's that purpose. That's the thing that gets me out of bed.
Oh, wow.
So this whole spiritual journey does seem a bit wimpy. In the beginning, for me.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, not going to do it. You guys are wimps, weak. You're all weak. Why pray? Why meditate? Why do all of these things? But in doing and practicing these things on a daily basis, I've been able to discover so much of myself. I'm a leader today.
You're discovering your own strength.
Yeah.
Able to mind that for other people as well, or with other people as well, because that sounds exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
That's awesome. Namaste.
Namaste.
Fabulous. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Freddie.
Have an awesome Saturday evening.
And thanks everyone for listening. Ciao.
Ciao. So, do you feel touched? I learned so much about Warren during this short chat and would have loved to spend more time with him and hear more. One excellent thing that came out of this recording is that we have made a commitment to try harder to spend more time together. I am really looking forward to that. If you want to know more about what I do, please feel free to connect with me on my website, which is www.freddy.org.za, or find me on Facebook at either Meet Me in the Field, or Freddie Counselor, or Freddie van Rensburg. I am also on Twitter at RensburgFreddy, or on Instagram at Freddie Counselor. Remember that Freddie is always spelled with an IE at the end. I want to thank Warren for his time and for sharing his views with Meet Me in the Field. Thank you for listening. Be safe. Bye.